Hi, my name is Kristen Fabella with Orange County Coalition for Diversity in the Law. And today, for Pride Month, we have Mike Olsen, who is an attorney at Kading Briggs. Without further ado, Mike, why don't you introduce yourself?
Sure. Thank you for having me, Kristen. So yeah, just a little bit about myself. So I grew up in rural Hanford, California. I had loving parents who encouraged me to pursue my education, which I did diligently from an early age. I attended Fresno State University and received my degrees in philosophy and psychology. And then I got my law degree from UC Hastings. So right now I am at Kading Briggs, like you said. I exclusively practice management side employment law. That's what I've done since I've graduated. Yeah, so that's a little bit about myself.
And between college and law school, you earned a graduate degree and you taught as a lecturer. Can you tell us more about that?
Sure. I obtained a Master of Arts in Philosophy at San Francisco State University. So I taught, I loved teaching, and I had a passion for reading and learning philosophy. I always gravitated toward justice theory and applied ethics. And it really was fundamental in shaping who I am as an attorney. Because it taught me that a reasoned debate will always lead us to understand each other better. And civility is so important in our profession. And sometimes I think that can get lost in sort of the competitive environment of law school and the adversarial nature of our profession. So I got my master's. So yeah, there was a little bit of a gap, I guess, between before I went to law school. Yeah.
How long was the gap?
So I got my master's, and then I also taught at UCI briefly. So maybe 3 years. So even though I wanted to be an attorney when I graduated college, I just was not certain that it was the right path for me because I was the first person in my family to seek a professional degree. So I really didn't have any reference point. And really, there's no shame in not knowing what you want to do. And the time that I took, I think between college and law school was really critical for me because it solidified that, the law was really what was the right path for me.
Oh, absolutely. What would you tell people who have had a long break between college and law school and they want to go into law school, but maybe they're thinking, oh, it's too late?
Well, I don't think that it's ever too late. I think that if it is something that is a passion for you, something that you want to do and you have a drive for, it's never too late to pursue it. There's no big break that would make it not feasible for you to do that.
And how did your degree in teaching, how did that play into your decision to, officially going into law school?
I would say that it was more. So my degree was philosophy, so it was the actual reasoning, the logic, the reading, the day to day. And again, like I said, I gravitated towards more of the justice, applied ethics, and so it was sort of a natural fit for me to go to. It really made it a decision that I was certain of. It wasn't something that was like I kind of want to do. I became sure of it through my time teaching and getting my master's in philosophy.
And how did that play a role into your work as an attorney, teaching specifically?
So it's actually come in handy in a couple of ways. We as attorneys, we have to educate our clients. And so from the very beginning of my career, I was giving presentations to Fortune 500 companies on wage and hour practices because I took to teaching, so I was able to do that, break down some things for individuals that are complicated, and so it naturally fed into some of the things that I do in giving trainings, for example.
And so you've had a lot of work in between college, law school, you've had another career. You're also working full-time as an attorney, and you are president of the OC Lavender Bar Association. Can you tell us a little bit more about what that is?
Yeah, sure. Orange County Lavender Bar Association, or OCLBA. I have been on the board for about 8 years. OCLBA is a nonprofit coalition of LGBTQ attorneys, judges, law students, and our allies here in Orange County, dedicated to LGBTQ equality. I started being involved with it as a law student, and then I took over a partner seat that a partner had left the firm, and she was involved in the board, and I got involved in her stead. And so that's how I got involved with it.
And how have you seen improvement, or what areas do you think need to be addressed, especially in Orange County?
Yeah, so I mean, I think that the LGBTQ community has made significant strides in the last 10 years, but the fight for equality and inclusion is not something that is won. It's never over. So I can recall in 2008 when Proposition 8 passed, and for those who may not be familiar, it was the ballot initiative that stripped same-sex couples of the right to marriage and made it a constitutional amendment in California. And I recall how degrading, heartbreaking, and devastating that was to our entire community. But it really mobilized our community in a way that we had not seen in many years. And so today, the United States Constitution recognizes our equal dignity under the law, and that matters tremendously. And so we've made great progress, but I also think that many of us were lulled into a false sense of security after Obergefell came down. In just the last year, for example, there have been over or nearly 500 anti-LGBTQ bills that have been introduced in legislators all around the United States, including one bill here in California, which fortunately did not pass. But many of the bills that are out there are aimed at transgender individuals, especially transgender youth, and stripping transgender youth of gender affirming care. And this is particularly concerning because trans youth, and particularly trans youth of color, are at higher risks of suffering from violent crime, poor health outcomes, higher rates of depression and suicide. And so I think that the lesson is, as a community, we and our allies, we can't be complacent, because a threat to any of us is a threat to all of us. And so I think that the legal profession, must be committed to diversity, but also equity and inclusion in all respects. And so simply showing up makes a difference. And there are little ways that people can show up, whether it's putting your pronouns in your signature line in an organization that doesn't really talk about gender identity, or it allows people to express themselves and feel welcomed. And so that makes all of the difference.
And I want to go back, because now you're talking about your identity being in the LGBTQ community, and then also your identity as the first person in your family to get a graduate degree.
A professional degree, correct.
Degree.
Yeah.
Are there any words of encouragement or reminders that you would have for someone in your position? Those are two roles that are very important for someone entering the legal field?
Recently, as you know, recently I accepted a proclamation in honor of Harvey Milk from the city of Bonaparte, and sort of in preparing for that, sort of reflecting on Harvey's work and his life. One thing that resonated with me and in a profound way was that he recognized that the individual acts of courage that in coming out it would give hope to people who don't see people like themselves represented, and so it would counter fear with fact. It would give us a representation, and so my advice is really that that courage is, as professionals ourselves, being authentically ourselves. I think that that will give hope to people that are looking to pursue a career in law and may not necessarily see themselves represented.
We have an event coming up, or you have an event coming up, and I'm so happy that the OCLBA is one of our newest member organizations. You have an event coming up. Can you tell us a little bit about what that is?
Sure. So it's our 13th anniversary party. So the organization's been around for 13 years, and it's our biggest fundraiser for the year. It's going to take place on July 12th, and it's at Irvine Park Plaza Commons. At the event, we are going to honor some individuals in the community. So we just selected our Community Leadership Award is going to be going to Donna Wilson, who is an openly lesbian and managing partner and CEO of a major law firm, Manat, Phelps and Phillips. And then we are also going to be giving an award to former Representative Alan Lowenthal. And then we will also be giving our annual scholarship to a deserving law student committed to LGBTQ equality and to working in the Orange County area after law school. This year, I think we're donating like 5% of all of our sponsorships directly towards the scholarship fund. And so it should be a good event. We have music, food, and networking, and then a very brief award ceremony.
That sounds like so much fun. If anybody wants to find out more about the OCLBA event, what's the website?
It's www.oclba.org.